Testing, testing 1 million, 2 million. Here with the friendly black guy.
Nobody better.
Nobody markets better.
There's nobody better, man. Nobody
Oh,
friendlier or blacker than me.
that's awesome. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business Breakdown Podcast. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Moki Musau, a social media marketing expert revolutionizing small business strategies. Today, we're diving and delving into quantity versus quality in content creation, converting engagement to sales, AI powered content without losing authenticity, and platform specific strategies. Quick shout out to our community. Want to join a network with ambitious entrepreneurs, access exclusive resources, and get all your finance and business questions answered? Join our thriving 10,000 member Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/finance for individuals and businesses. Your next big opportunity is here. Back to the podcast. Moki, what's up? Welcome. Glad to finally have you here, man.
Yes, indeed. Happy to be here, man.
For sure, man. How you doing? Everything good?
All is well, my man. I can't complain. I could, but ain't nobody
Yeah.
listening, so I just keep it to
Right.
myself.
So I met you pretty recently through
Mhm.
Frank, and yeah, that was funny how that happened with Frank. I know that you kind of met on the business end, but kind of opens up that networking opportunity.
Mhm.
How'd you get to know Frank originally? Did you just happen to run into him somewhere?
No, I was a part of a marketing group, and actually it was more of entrepreneurs, and it was a kind of like a mastermind, and he was one of the people that was in it. And after the the mastermind, we stayed in touch. He's a nice guy, and also um was super supportive of me and my wife. At that time we were just getting into the whole kind, we were transitioning back from living overseas, so we just didn't have a whole lot of money. So, he helped us think through ways to, because I haven't kept up with his things as much now, but, back then he was all about cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Any situation that you are in, you can find ways to make sure that you have cash on hand for, for kind of, so you can live your life. Given our situation, he was super helpful to and helped us figure out ways to do that, and helped me and my wife get on a couple life insurance plans, and we've just stayed in touch since then. But that's how I got in. That's how he and I had connected, and then over the years, I think um I just kept up with what he was doing, and seeing how he was kind of moving his business about, and then got to know a little bit more about his family through his social media, just his social media presence, and that's how and I think at the time, this years ago, at the time he had introduced me to this group, and I was in there. I think I've been in this group for for a couple of years. I think it's been a while, but that's how I got in. And then last year I got back into the entrepreneurship, and get just like full time at this time, because at the time I was doing both
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and this and the W-2 thing, and then I got into the full time entrepreneurship, and that's how I got back in the group. But yeah, man, I've been on this. Yeah, but anyways, that's the unnecessarily long story about how I know Frank.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, Frank's a really good dude. He
Yeah.
doesn't complain whenever I call him late at night about whatever. I'm sure his wife has. I haven't met them in person because obviously distance is a problem. But obviously he helped me found the original group. It was him and I in the very beginning. It's
Hmm.
it's definitely grown quite a bit. It's an awesome community. But
Yeah.
man, back on social media. So how long have you been back on social media?
I mean, I've always been on it, and
Or
uh,
like actively?
Yeah, to be honest, man. I mean, I've been active on social media since 2021, like active, like full, So when I say the entrepreneurship, it's not just like that one with the group, for example, is different. That started back in like October. But as far as myself, my personal brand, or thinking about social media, using it for business, for whatever business I'm doing, that's been going on since 2021, and that's when I was doing real estate and I was using my YouTube channel um to get buyers, and then after that it was using social media to as a creative outlet to just become a better content creator, and then now it's thinking about using it to um be a better creator, network more, and um also help others do the same thing. So I've
Are
always
you still
done it.
real estate?
Nah, nah, nah. I'm not in that. Now it's just full time content creation.
Yeah.
So yeah. So as far as I've always been in it. It's just taking different. It's just had a different end goal each time. But I've always been on this thing, man. I've always been in front of and behind the camera. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, I would think that if you're combined like that good at social media and that good at real estate, um, like that's a crazy combination. Is social media as that not social media itself, but the
Hmm.
marketing aspect, has that always been a passion?
Not really. But I think what happened was, for me, I think the passion has always just been communicating and finding creative ways and clearer ways and more compelling ways to communicate, with people.
Hmm.
Um, you know, so I think it's that, like, that drive has always been, that's the underlying thing. And then, social media just to me just happened to be the most interesting. So, it's more of, I think for me, I like visual arts. I started out as a photographer. When I started social media, I was a photographer. So I just love images. I love, creating, videos, it's a motion picture, so, that to me has always been just so, I've just always been fascinated by it. And, I love taking pictures. I love taking videos, and that's that, along with how do I use that to tell compelling stories, to make clear messages, to connect with people. That's more of what has always driven me. And then social media became the thing that I was like, ended up being like what made me most interested in learning. I was one that was, it just kept being interesting more than anything else. And then at a certain point, it became about competence, and, like, now I'm just good at a lot of the things that I'm doing. So I just don't feel like I just don't feel like doing anything else. And I still get passion from, and I still get satisfaction from uh creating something out of an idea, testing it, and just that ongoing journey. To me, one of my core values is curiosity. And so, and I love us having a sense of adventure. And so I get to, activate those values through making stuff, like even today, this podcast, like, I don't really know how this is going to go, but the thought of, you know going into it, and then it kind of finding out as it goes, and then later on in post finding little clips and stuff, and like, and that to me is like, it's exciting. So that's how I approach everything I do. There's
Yeah,
this
the
sense of
discovery.
excitement. Exactly. So so that's kind of what, yeah. So as far as, yeah, not specifically marketing, but now I do have the the passion spills into marketing because that's what I do the most.
Yeah.
And I've spent the most time doing.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's definitely, it's definitely a journey. Whenever you're doing almost anything, especially if it's as transparent and open to the public as social media.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone,
Yeah.
and no matter what, you're going to get judged, no matter how smart you are. Um, I mean, I've seen videos of people making fun of Warren Buffett. Uh, I've seen videos of people making fun of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and it's just like some of the most the smartest men in the world, and you're going to get made fun of. But it's good. It's a it's interesting to see that and just understand that no matter what, it's going to happen. So just take it on the chin and keep going.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta have thick skin on one hand, but also I think on the other hand, you just have to um decide what you're gonna focus on. You're gonna get the trolls. But the thing is, like, people who like troll and everything like that, it's because they got nothing else to do with their lives. And the best creators and the best people on social media are the ones who know how not to get sucked into the garbage. And by and actually, this is one thing I believe is social media, like dealing with trolls, is one of the best ways to show, quote unquote, that you're the bigger person. Because and this is something that I learned too, is it's like going viral, is um if you, as the creator or the originator that the stuff comes from, if you show that you're not, like, you don't stoop as low as the people who are talking whatever to you, everyone else is going to rally around you because they also connect with you, at that they realize they find a way that they connect with you on a values level, and then they become your advocates, and then they then start taking care of the trolls for you where you don't have to. And that's the coolest thing. So you have to have thick skin too, but also at the same time you just have to be committed to, like, who are you. And from even with small businesses, it's the same thing. Like, what are your values? If you want to be super, like, sarcastic or whatever, then you just have to kind of take that all the way, and people will gravitate to that. But also the last thing, because this wasn't even a question, the last thing is this: the internet, like most of the people on the internet, don't like mean people, and they will, like, help you and stand by you if somebody tries to be mean and you show that you're not mean. I guarantee you, most people on the internet will rally you behind you, um, more often than not. But you
Yeah.
gotta do it. You gotta do it to find that out. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I haven't had, well, I mean, I've had a couple run-ins, and I've also said some stuff just to kind of get a rise out of people.
yeah.
But it's that doesn't mean that people are always bullies. Sometimes you might troll your
Hmm.
friends, and someone that doesn't know you and doesn't know your
Yep.
relationship with them, and
Yep. Exactly.
there's been a couple instances like that, but it's all just social media. It's
Yeah.
all part of the entertainment that is
Exactly.
kind of taking over the world, that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. But from a
Yeah.
business aspect, it's free advertising. Um,
Exactly.
being able to interact with your customers, because it's not like they can
Yes.
do that from a Google profile.
Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
and just having your audience and your business partnerships and people see the real side of you. It's very authentic and genuine, for sure.
Yes.
um,
Exactly.
and then one of the things that we talked about is even the quantity versus quality.
Mm.
Just letting people see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hmm.
Not just the good, which would
Hmm.
be the quality, posts, but you want
Hmm.
to also go through it, go through the bad, figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yes. Yeah. And there are a lot of ways to determine what's good. That people will determine what's good and what's not good. Sometimes, or oftentimes, most people, when they think about good, they think about production quality. So it's like, oh, I don't have this nice camera, I don't have this nice audio, I don't have this B-roll, I don't have this or that or whatever. And that's typically how they understand it. So they think, okay, if I'm not putting a lot of work into this, then it's not good. And they don't even, without taking into account the message, or the what the call to action is, or what their offering is, all those things. It's like, if the production quality isn't there, then nothing else is there, and that is not the best way to test things. In fact, now most consumers are more likely to engage with content that is lower production quality, because they're tired of canned content. They're tired of branded whatever. Like, that's all they see. And big brands are now uh, shifting their content to look like that. So a lot of big brands have all,
Mhm.
it's all, selfie style. It's all influencer based. Are they? Why is a big brand resorting to an influencer when they can just create an ad, hire actors and all? Because that's their consumers are more likely to interact with someone that is more accessible. And so if your content may not have the highest production quality, but it's accessible and the message is clear, then that's going to resonate with more people than anything. And also, if you can find ways to figure out how do you provide, so we talk about value all the time. Um, Value is this: either somebody has to walk away with something, uh, uh, either they have to learn something or they have to be entertained. So if you can do those two things, then you have that. Then that's value. So you just have to figure out how to do those two things with anything you do. And the only way you can figure out what works is to test it. So I would, if someone says, the quality is not great, well, I would challenge them with this. Okay, make two pieces of content, one idea. One is high production quality, one is low production quality, and then send them both into the world and see what happens. If you get one, if the low production quality does better, then make another one of low production and then see how that does. If the high does better, then you do that. Then at least you're verifying because there's no other way you're gonna know what works if unless you because this why because if you're in business, you're in the business of consumers, of connecting with consumers, and if your stuff doesn't, if you don't even know what connects with consumers or not, then you're just leaving a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of consumers out to get to whom your competitors, because I guarantee that if you're not out there, somebody else is, and
Yep.
that's where all your business is going. So so you have to put a lot of stuff out there and find out what works and what doesn't. And if people say but what if I have to change? Well, most big brands today started out at very different origins, and so changing is not a bad thing. And like you said, it's just social media. You can always delete whatever you don't want. My social media page right now is about marriage and relationships and families, but it started out as a real estate page. I still have this real estate stuff. It's like I still have the real estate stuff on there, and now I'm doing
Mhm.
marriage stuff. And then at some point, I'm going to do marketing, and it's the same page. So, but the people are always going to find me. The people are always going to find you, but you have to put it out there and let them find you. So, and unless you do that, and the reason why I say quantity and quality is the quantity is going to help you figure out what works fastest so that you can start making more quality content of those kinds of content that connects. Otherwise, you'll find it eventually, but the thing is, if you don't find them now, your competitor is, and then when you try and find them later, it's just you just have more competitors.
Yep.
So that's part of the deal.
Instead of kind of paving your own way.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
it definitely takes a lot of trial and error, and the error doesn't stop. Um, you still keep learning a couple of years later. I haven't even been on
Mhm.
social media um, back that long. I took a small hiatus, actually, maybe like several years is more like it. But um, and I told you the story recently, but whenever I
Mhm.
got back on social media, um, probably like 3 years ago, and I started pushing my business, health insurance, and talking about it. And I was getting no engagement or anything. And I go and look at all my friends, and they're just friends from high school. So I was 1,600 friends that were just nothing. And then, not in a bad way, they're just not going to engage with my stuff. They don't
Mhm.
really care. So I got rid of everyone except for about 300 to 400 of them, and then just tried to build my network from there.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I did. And then I also, you add to your network over time, and you add the right people,
Yeah.
um, and that's what creates more engagement. Like for example, I did I was doing a St. Jude push-up competition,
That's right.
and I wanted more traction on all my St. Jude posts. So whenever I went to go do push-ups and try and raise money, I would at least get a lot more likes.
Mhm.
So what I did, I just went to that St. Jude group, found a whole bunch of other people, probably about maybe added about 50 people, um, that were in the St. Jude push-up group, and so I could get more traction on my posts. And it definitely worked.
Hmm.
And obviously, I got more encouragement. They were more supportive than the business network that I had now created.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but just because they were on the same exact mission, and
Yes.
if you and that's pretty powerful if you can find someone on the same mission. Um,
Yes.
but
Yeah. As collaborators, right now, and to that point, and just in general, the one of the big trends where social media is right now, that I don't know if it's gonna change in any big way outside of it, or go back to a point before, is collaborators, and this idea that the platforms want to in some way see accounts interacting with each other. So this that the so that people are being social on these platforms, not just in the consumption of the content, but in the creation of it. And so finding ways to partner with other brands, or other um, businesses, or entrepreneurs, or whomever, is going to speed up the process of your own growth. So that I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody, who it's a small business, it's a nonprofit, and I was just they're asking me about their social media, and I was just their profile. I was just taking a look, and I mean, I'm not using a fine tooth comb. I'm just straight up looking at it, just bare bones. Like, what am I looking at? And one thing I saw is they had a lot of um, posts that they were tagged in, but they didn't have any posts at all that they were collaborators on. So people were not making that direct connection with, hey, this person who's doing this did it through it. And so I thought to myself, um, if you want to grow quickly, just keep doing what you're doing, but collaborate with the people that are in the content you're making, because they're already there, and they're already putting the content out on their own profiles anyway. So why not just hop on it and do it and get on it together? And that's what's and then see how it happens. 'Cause I guarantee that's going to make a big difference in their engagement and in their reach. But that's what these platforms want to see, is people interacting and doing things together from the
Yep.
consumption side, but then also um on the creation side.
Yeah. Um, you you hit the nail right on the head. I completely believe in uh, the creator versus consumer kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think that if you're a creator, you're never going to be a consumer. And I don't think if you're a consumer, you'll never be a creator.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't think that, because I know that you can change, because I was
Yes.
once a consumer
Yeah.
before I became a creator. I'm not,
Hmm.
um, I haven't always had this kind of mindset. I've always been determined to do good in whatever I did. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm always going to do my best, especially if it says my name on it.
Yeah.
But it just evolves over time for sure.
Yes. 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 And one is not better than the other. It's just, um well, it depends. I think
It,
it
too much consumerism
it
might be a bad thing.
yeah, and too much production can also be a
Yeah.
problem, because then you just become a machine, and you become sort of lifeless. So I think, yeah, you just have to find a way to get into a rhythm. A lot of people talk about balance, and I prefer to talk about rhythm, because if I think of rhythm, I think of music. Some songs start out slow, and then they get this massive thing, and then they end, and it's still a beautiful thing. Without it's and there's sometimes you don't have all the instruments playing. Sometimes you got all of them playing. Sometimes you got nothing going on, but it's all in the grand scheme of things. It all fits together to something really beautiful, and life becomes beautiful with balance, but also with rhythm. So you find a rhythm between consumption and production and creation, and then you just really start to, and that's one way that you can connect with your consumers too, is if you don't know what it's like to binge watch anything or to get sucked into a rabbit hole of this, that, and the third, then how are you going to connect with people? Because that's what they're doing. So, you know, you got to know how to do or be have some experience in the things that the people you want to connect with, what they're doing. um that's the only way to connect with them in a meaningful way, I think,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Just understanding where they're coming from,
Yes.
understanding their pain points and all that stuff, what
Hmm.
they talk about, not necessarily what you talk about. They don't
Yeah.
always know like the lingo or anything like that. So I'm sure whenever you first start chatting with people,
Hmm.
you have to explain kind of quite a bit and what the difference is, like even on a technical aspect.
Yes.
Um, so it's just kind of easy going forward. Now, everything we're kind of talking about is really kind of the first step into social media, just
Hmm.
creating that content. Once you
Hmm.
create that community,
Yeah.
then you really got to start creating more maybe engaging stuff, more
Hmm.
con- content that converts.
Yeah.
Um, what is what does converting content look like?
um it's got a couple things now. uh at some point in your business, you're going to have to run paid ads, and so your conversion there is going to be based on like how effective your ad is in generating customers. And but the thing is that, um I'll give an example of, is it Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank guy?
Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah. Why does he have a YouTube page? He has all the money in the world. He That's for, but he's on there because that's where the the majority of the people whose attention he wants to get are spending their time. And so content that's convers conversion for me is creating content in the places where your consumers spend the most amount of their time. Because if it comes to like, oh, I gotta spend time where they're gonna, buy my stuff. Well, you don't even, you're not even gonna end up ever getting all the data you need to know that, okay, this person came directly from Facebook. This person came from Instagram. This person came from Snapchat. You'll have some of the data, but you won't have it all, because they also now, there's the privacy update. There's the, a lot of platforms don't want you leaving their platform. So if you have links in your content, um, social media platforms will actively suppress it because they want people staying on the platform. So how do you do that? So your content has to, conversion, I think, is being able to have as many people, to get the attention of as many people as possible that would want to buy from you, and then engaging with them. So, for example, there's a preschool I work with, and they don't have a whole lot of followers, but they get tons of DMs, and and they're on a wait list. And so their content is converting because they're getting DMs. I mean, am I wrong, or am I not
You're
wrong?
you're right on it.
You see what I'm
Those are
saying?
all
So
potential leads.
exactly. So your content, so basically, is this: if your content is has people engaging with it, if you have people coming into your DMs, and also if you're getting in people's DMs and there's, and you're having active conversations, then I think you're doing well. So, and now that so that's and so that's this is now, if you're, once you do your paid ads, that's one thing. But this is the other way. This is what I focus on, is how to make people into, not just social media accounts, but also have an element of ethical sales that go into it. Because a DM is,
Yeah.
okay, if you message somebody from a business page, they know you're not trying to be their friend. So don't get, so people need to get that shit out of their heads. Like, stop trying to be friendly. It's, they know it's business. So how can you make it a business conversation that they say, okay, you know what? I want to set an appointment, or I want to get on your newsletter, or I want to, um, follow you for more, or that's how you convert. is can you, and and that's the one that makes more loyal followers and customers. Um, this The other day, there's an account I follow, and they tagged a restaurant uh, that's not very close to me at all. But their name was just like super catchy. And
What was
um,
the name?
I can't even remember. Let me
You can't
see.
remember it. What's it
It's a
catchy
it's
enough?
a No, no, it is because it has a rabbit in there. That's why I remembered it, because it's a rabbit, bronze rabbit or something like that.
That's interesting.
Um, yeah, and so their whole restaurant has all these rabbits. And
That's definitely unique.
so I hit him up. So
Wait, wait, wait,
I
wait, wait. Are we
yeah,
talking
yeah.
like the rabbits are dead and they're like stuffed and they're on the wall?
I don't. Yeah, well, yeah. There's it's
Okay,
photos of.
photos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
Photos.
like, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. It'll be. They should probably get like a, wait a minute, but then that's a whole
Taxidermy in the
different
back.
conversation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a whole different thing. Uh, and so I messaged them, and I just said something about, like, your name is your branding, and like, and I think I followed them just because of their name, because I thought it was so catchy. Um, and then they had this really nice interaction with me, like, hey man, thanks so much for this, like, what's a good email, or whatever, so that we can send you a gift card a gift card for the first time I go visit them. And see, now they got a customer.
Yep.
I reached out to them, and it's up to them to make it happen, to close it. So how do you do that? So that's how I do it. um And so, but the thing is, like, you talk about content that converts, they were featured on someone else's profile. So you see, they got a customer from a collaboration,
Hmm.
not from, they had made I don't even know if they were even, they were just in the post because it was the restaurant the guy was at, and that's how they got me. So it's thinking about how can you make content in those kinds of veins, with those kinds of elements, that leads to customers. So in that case, they can attribute that, the attribution thing. They can say, oh yeah, this guy came straight from the DMs. You can check. Those are the ones that you can, that can be successful. Um, so that's how I think about conversion.
Man, I've had some allergies today. I apologize. No, the conversion part is it's the same thing. You have to test it multiple times, and you
Yes.
don't know what's going to work with your network. Um, you also don't know if it's going to work at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and it's just a lot of testing because like for to kind of use the example that of my profile earlier, like I'm sure I could create engaging content for the 1600 friends that I had before I deleted them all, but it wouldn't be the kind of content that I wanted to create or needed to push,
Hmm.
so I had to create my own network. So um, it was it's always interesting. My methods are not perfected. Um,
Hmm.
or anything like that, but I do post a lot. I do post a lot,
Yes.
probably 3 to 5, maybe 7 times a day. Um, and it's just staying active, having stuff ready to go, um, or just having an example from a previous experience, giving value somehow. And that's really the big piece. I do post funny stuff every now and then. You always get engagement with funny stuff as long as it's not super offensive. But if it's really offensive, you'll get a lot of engagement, but the conversion rate might be a
Of the
little
wrong
low.
kind. Of the wrong
Yeah,
kind. Yeah.
conversion rate would be low.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, even kind of, I guess, actually segueing into the AI piece that we chatted about,
Hmm.
um, you can even go into AI and create stuff faster than you've ever been able to do before.
Yeah.
And you don't even necessarily need AI. There's a whole lot of other platforms and websites that you can go into and just find questions to answer, like
Hmm.
ask the public or answer the public, something
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
I can't remember that guy's name, Neil Patel, maybe something like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but
He's
yeah,
got a
that
thing.
guy, I've I've watched a lot of his videos. A lot of his stuff has to do with websites and stuff, but I think at the
Mhm.
same time, website copyright is very similar to social media copyright. Same
Mhm.
thing with email copyright is
Yep.
very
Mhm.
similar. I think
Mhm.
copywriting is just very
That's the
similar
key.
across the board.
That's the
Um,
skill you need to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, copywriting is definitely um, define copywriting for people who might not understand.
Just writing for audiences to get them to take action.
Yeah. Or what are they one of the first couple of times I heard it was also in Mad Men, and they just kept calling it copy instead of
Yep.
copywriting. So I was like, what are they even saying? Like, so I looked it up
Yeah.
finally, and I was just like, oh my god, that makes sense now. Like, couple
Yeah.
episodes in.
Yep.
But it's have you seen that show, Mad Men?
No. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not much of a TV guy. But a lot of folks do reference Mad Men because of from what I guess because it is somewhat um like really well done. Like there's a lot of really cool themes in there and also
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah. No, it's pretty darn good. It made me look at ads a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting how much effort goes into it, and how things kind of just appear out of thin air,
Mm.
because both of those scenarios happen. Um,
Hmm. Huh.
it's
How about
it's
talk about the ads? Tell me about because I think there might be something interesting here. So how do you look at ads now compared to before you watched the show?
um, I mean, generally speaking, I was already in that phase of understanding ads and the the effect you want to have on people.
Yeah, that's what
You
it
don't
is.
necessarily want to have like a huge paragraph of why people should pick you. It could
Yes.
just be a feeling that you want them
Yeah.
to feel. If you want them to feel happy, if you want them to feel angry, there's a lot of variations, and you don't
Yeah.
have to like put all your cards on the table on one ad.
Yeah.
There's so many different types of campaigns, different people to reach, different people to talk to whenever you're trying to create these ads.
Yep.
Um, I think so. I've done writing for quite some time. I used to I used to write lyrics, is what I'll call it. It didn't have music, so some people call them poems, but I'll call them lyrics. But I was a writer. I started writing whenever I was in early high school. And then by late high school, I kind of found out that I was kind of good at it. Um, especially when people thought that I didn't write the my best friend's eulogy. People thought that someone else wrote it for me. Um, but it was, yeah, it was, you just learn over time. It's not something easy, and you have to look at a whole bunch of different stuff, see a bunch of different strategies, and just kind of consume and adapt. um, is really what it feels like, because the stuff that you're posting now won't might work now, but it won't work later. But
Nope.
it might work in a couple months, or it might work in a couple years.
Yep.
Again, you just got to remember the strategy. If it
Yep.
starts to work, you know how to execute.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, one of the biggest takeaways that I have from ads is that you don't have to make this new content to tell the same message. Or another way that my mentor says is like marketing is saying one thing 10,000 times instead of 10,000 things one time. So when you make content, whether it's a call to action, whether it's a message or whatever, you want to say it, you want to say the same thing over and over and over again, but just do it in different ways. Or even think about this. Um, because people talk about, I don't want to, like, for example, you post a lot all the time. So like, oh, I don't want to, post that, 5 times a day, 7 times a day, or 3 times a day, or even twice a day, or even post 5 times a week, because I don't want people to get sick of seeing me or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think about this. Well, ask yourself this: if you like your favorite commercial, how do you feel when you see it? Then no one says, "Oh, God, I know it's my favorite commercial, but I've already seen it like so many times. Like I'm just sick of seeing it." So they're like, "No, like you at that point, because you know what the sale is, you know what they're doing. At that point, it
Yep.
becomes about the feeling. So now when you even think about the ad, you have a feeling connected to it, and so that's why how you think about creating content is like you said. What do you want people to feel when they interact with your content, when they see your content, and when they start thinking about your content? Do you want them to feel like if they the worst thing that you can do when you make content is for people to feel nothing. If they feel nothing, they will do nothing. So make them feel something and learn how to connect feelings to content, and that's how you start getting known for something. That's how people remember. Like if I step on a piece of lint, I will not remember it.
Yeah.
But if I
I
step on,
wanna I want to give an example of
yeah,
a couple of times couple tests I've done recently. So health insurance is boring as hell. I mean,
yep,
that's not a given there. So you got to kind of make it entertaining. But I've noticed that. So I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman. I've watched Batman since the early '90s animated series,
oh
and then they
yeah,
just came out with a new one on Prime. I'm waiting for a handful of episodes to come out so I can binge through that a little
yep,
bit. But anyway, Batman. So I've been seeing that, like, business owners also, everyone kind of has a superhero, and Batman's still kind of popular.
mhm,
So I made a Batman health insurance post recently. Um, and it was like Batman themed, and
yeah,
it was, uh, it got a lot of traction. It got a lot of traction. But I see, so my target is business owners or small business owners because I like to kind of get in at ground level and scale with the company,
yeah,
and introduce them to my network and all that stuff. But at the same time, you have people that uh, you look up to whenever you're going through stuff like that. You still have superheroes, you still have mentors and stuff like that. I don't know. I just thought of Batman and figured I'd do it. Um, and I want to say that I want to say I got a couple sales from it. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head because it was a little bit ago. Um, but it was definitely an interesting strategy, an interesting test. I'll probably do more like it for sure. The effect I wanted people to have, because it wasn't like, oh, let Batman do your marketing or something like that. It was
mhm,
more like I positioned them as Batman. I positioned them as the superhero of their
yeah,
family, and you need to get insurance. This will protect them just like you protect them, kind of thing. So it was just more of an empowering post,
yes.
and it did well. So I'll definitely be doing more of it, which I did, and I did a Deadpool version. So
Why do did I think I commented on the Batman one.
yeah, yeah.
I think I did.
Um,
But it was super relatable. It was super relatable. It was super simple. Um, you talk about so you always want the consumer to be the center of, like what is Donald Miller has the whole story brand thing, which is basically like the consumer is the hero, and whatever the service provider is the Gandalf. We're the ones you're the expert guide. You're not the
mhm,
one who has to get the ring. You're not the one who's gonna get the girl. You're the one who helps the hero be the hero. And you have to do that in your content. Most, if your content is about you all the time, about why you're so good, why you're so great, and all of that, no one is going to care, because they don't know what it does. What is it? So you're great, so what does that do for me? That's why you got to make your content about others. Whether it's people say pain points all the time, and that's, yeah, which is, you have to do that. But also, um being able to tell their tell stories that they can relate to in a way that makes them feel like, oh man, they understand me. And or get us feel like they know they this person gets me. This brand, they get me. You know that's then, if what is it, they'll care about what, if you what is it? They call the care quote. You know, that people don't want to know how much you know. People people just don't want to know how much you care about them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
How much you
You know
understand,
how much you.
but
Yeah,
it's
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 the.
it's it's hard to share that, but it's definitely doable. You just have to figure out a way to kind of position it.
Well, I saw a friend. I got to talk to this dude about it. I got to send him a text about it. But um, so I was in real estate. So you talk about health insurance. Real estate. It's I mean, everybody's a realtor. Everybody's cousin's a realtor. So it does. There are millions of them out there, and messaging like, so what do you do? It's like, I help people buy and sell real estate and invest in real estate. Okay. Well, what do you do? You can say something like, well, what do you? Well, um, you can say something like, most realtor like some realtors will um all they'll do is they'll open the door for you, and they'll let you walk around the house, and then they'll push a bunch of papers and then expect you to pay them 3%. you know for example, there's this one family that I know who, they had a oh for example, when I was helping my mom sell her house, the realtor, the first offer we had, this guy came in, did a home inspection for I think it was like a 14-day contingency, and they did a home inspection on the 13th day, and then they send us a home inspection and say, hey, we need $40,000 to repair the house. I said, kick freaking rocks, man. So you have people like that, so
Mhm.
that person, they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to take that, people who will take advantage of other people and then tell you that's a good strategy. Um, or they'll open the door for you, and then when you come time to write an offer, they don't know how documents work. So they don't know when, like, if you write an offer with no contingencies, there are very few ways for you to get out of that without losing money, but there are some, but there are very few. So some people will say, "Hey, you can write an offer with no contingencies, and then hey, if you don't like it in a couple of days, man, you can just waive it, void it, whatever. It's okay." You cannot do that, but that did happen to somebody I know. So, anyways, you can say something like that. You can have a story about that. Say, "Hey, what do we? So what? So you're a realtor. What do you do?" Well, I do. I help people buy and sell homes, but one of the things I do is I also help people make good decisions. With like all this money that they're going to be spending, for example, and then you tell the story, and that's how you connect with people. Yeah, you tell a story, but then someone say, oh man, you're right, like I'm about to drop 50, 60,000 dollars. What if I lose it? Okay. So and the thing is, you don't want them to say, okay, can you be my realtor? You want them to say, okay, so how do I then then you have them asking you questions. It's like, so how do I? Oh yeah, that's easy, you can da 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 da. Okay, so but then if I do that, then what about, you see how now is going from marketing to sales all within the content that you're making? Because they'll probably
Right.
ask you a question in the in the comments, and you say, and then you hit them up in the DMs. Hey, look, I know you asked a question. I'm gonna answer it for you. And then now you're starting. Now you're getting a lead. So I don't even know why I said all that. But how do you know that they? How do you show people you care? Is by having stories that they can see themselves in, or see their future self in, and say, oh shoot, I don't want to be like that. Or see their past self in and say, oh man, I used to be like that. I'm so glad I'm not. He understands what I've been through. That's how you connect with consumers, and that's how your content connects with consumers.
Yeah. And every consumer is slightly different. There's a lot of different groups. You can group them by age, you can group
Yeah.
them by something that they like, you can group them by something that they don't like. It's
And
pretty easy to tailor it, but it's always interesting figuring out what's in common also.
yeah, it yeah, if you're not careful, if you want your consumers to be just like you, that's totally fine. But if you're not careful, that's what they end up being like, and then you wonder why your product isn't working. So, and I think it comes down to the platforms as well. So, I work with I've done some work with nonprofits, and for them, so part of what they got to do is a lot of the people that they are looking to grow their donor base are on Facebook. So if they're on Instagram, they're they're like, "Hi, why is it not working?" Da 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 da. It's because you're not even in the effective range of who your audience is, or your target audience is. So you just got to know, again, like Kevin, like Mr. Was it, what do you call him, Mr. what,
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful. You got to know, where are these people, where is their attention, and because that's where you want to be, and that's when you can start testing, like you said, how do you kind of target your, and there are different ways you can think about that. um Part of it is inspiration. You can look at what does, in this, with this product, in this market, whatever, like what does the content look like, and then you can start there, instead of starting from scratch and trying to reinvent the wheel, and then you can start iterating from there. um there's very little that's new under the sun, so
Mm.
don't be afraid of, like, oh, I'm copying this, I'm copying that. Yeah, that's fine, but everyone's copying.
You know how many movies they remake?
I mean, what is it? The superhero thing is, they're all the same. Superman had, like, oh, he lost his parents. Batman lost his parents. He had this big cataclysmic thing happen to him, and it
Batman's
was like,
unique though. I'm just gonna say
gotta,
that.
yeah, exactly. But it's all, they're all very similar. It just depends if you can tell if you can tell a good story, if you can create a strong connection, then it doesn't matter what you did. So
Yeah.
you know
I
that's how I
think
look at it.
I think a lot of it has to do with impressions that you even receive as a child, because as a kid I used to watch Batman a whole bunch, and at the same time, like, what did I have access to? It was a TV. So,
Yeah.
and all these kids nowadays, they're given iPads,
Yep.
and they just swipe on YouTube, or like they have kids YouTube, and that is, there's a lot of time spent, but that is the kids YouTube, that is creating pretty much loyal customers for life,
Yep.
to YouTube, and maybe whatever channel or whatever they're watching there might have
Hmm.
an effect on them, but YouTube will always be around probably for the next 60 years minimum, just because of what they're doing currently with pushing, um, using children
Yep.
as their target audience.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Everything and everyone is a product.
Mm.
And but it's a long, and what's cool about that is that, well, I don't, people could talk about whether it's cool or moral, or whichever way, but what it is, it's a long-term thing. What I like to say is, if you're going to do marketing, the way that I talk to brands and companies and businesses is, this is going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's something that, if you just commit to the process, you really find out some really cool stuff about your business, um and about your customers, and what your business could be, and how you can be that much more to your customers. And um it's, and like, there are a lot of effects to this that happen, you know that have nothing to do with your customers. When your staff is making content, that's something that makes your staff happy. That's something that makes them feel a sense of inclusion that they may not have just from doing their day-to-day task list, and knocking things out. And so you can create a culture in there as well that makes people want to say, yo, this is kind of cool. The preschool I mentioned the other day, sorry, earlier, a couple, earlier in the year, when they were recruiting, they had an interview with somebody who, they asked, I don't even know how the question came about, but the person that they was interviewing was like, oh yeah, a friend of mine sent me your Instagram page and I took a look at it and it just looks like you guys are just like the happiest place to be in. Like and it seems like you're a really happy place to work. And I, it just made me want to say, like, I want to work in a place like that. So you see, and it's like, it does so much that it does to your, to your brand.
Your base.
And
Yeah.
if like I said, talk about conversion. What do you, if conversion is just about sales, that's one thing, but it's not all there is. Now,
Hmm.
if you're expecting organic social to generate like a lion's share of your sales, I do not really recommend that. But if your business model and your product are good, then this is something that helps to build your brand and create a loyal community. And
For free.
because for free, and like you talked about with with kids YouTube, is this, you get some loyalty, some long-term loyalty, because they're coming in not because they saw your ad, but because they saw, yo, this is a cool brand, this is a brand with integrity, these are people who treat people right. If they decide I want to be a part of this, then they're already in the game, you don't have to convince them. So that also is how, so anyway, so that goes back to the conversion thing. Like, it's not just about sales,
Yeah.
it's about a whole lot more. It's about having mind share, having the being in where the people that you want to serve, and you want to um provide a service or product to, being where they spend a lot, their attention the most, and then being able to to have them associate you on those platforms, and that's how you get a community.
Yeah. Building a community is hard, but it definitely takes time. Definitely takes time.
And
Um,
the right people. Oh, if you're searching, like you talked about, the like super controversial posts, like you'll get a bunch of stuff, but it's not the right people, so you'll have to fix it later.
yep.
But if you're doing it for the right people, it might be slow, but it's gonna be worth it, because
Yeah.
it's all the right people.
And you don't want to flood it with content that's always going to be unrelatable. I
Yeah.
see there's a couple people that just post to post. They might post 20 times a day, just sharing people stuff. Not much is original. It's
Hmm.
just it's almost like I would be following a person like that if I wanted to keep up with news and social media.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it doesn't really feel as authentic whenever
Yeah.
you're posting 20 things a day.
Yeah.
Um, and don't get me wrong, I've probably been close to pushing 10 at some point,
That's a
but
lot.
I'm like dialing it back, trying to figure out what exactly will work best, and obviously what works now might not work later. Um,
Hmm.
but one of the last things I wanted to chat about before we go, because I know we're almost at an hour,
Hmm.
was the platform specific strategies. Um,
Hmm.
and it's different with every platform because like with Facebook, there's multiple ways to use Facebook, and
Yes.
everyone kind of uses it differently. So
Yeah.
you'll find people that just go to Facebook to swipe on reels now.
Hmm.
And that came from Instagram, and Instagram, it
Yeah.
came from TikTok,
Hmm.
or it came from what was
Snapchat.
this? Snapchat.
Snapchat. Yeah.
There's also that 7 second at ad.
Vine.
Vine was another one.
Hmm.
But yeah, it all kind of evolves. But with with something like Facebook, you could also you'll make a post and get different interactions than
Hmm.
if you make a story and uh,
Right.
the same exact thing.
Yep.
It's you'll just get different interactions.
Yep.
People
Yeah.
like
Mm.
I have a friend who just gets on Facebook to watch reels, and that's all. So whenever I'm not posting any reels, he never sees me or
Uh
anything.
huh. Uh huh.
So whenever I post reels, I'll get some likes from him. That's
Hmm.
that's pretty much it. So that's
Yep.
kind of the difference between like a couple of different people with
Mm,
Facebook. But
mhm.
what do you think about like other platforms,
Um, I think,
just platform specific strategies?
yeah, you just got to do just, I think now, so if someone is starting out or something like that, I really would not be worried too much about being like complicated. Just the first
Mhm.
thing you need to do is just find find the cadence for consistency. So if for you do 5, 6, 7 times a day, you don't have to do that. If someone says, okay, I can only post twice a week, then do that, and platform specific, whatever you do, whatever platform you're in, even LinkedIn now, video is something that, especially now that it's 2024, I feel much better saying this, that you need to get over your fear of making videos, because if you want to have any success, you have to get on there. Unless you're a meme account, then just you just have to be funnier than every other meme account. So just do that. But even they're posting video content as well. So I would
Right.
say, you got to get video content in your strategy as a major part. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is be consistent. So come up with, I would say you got to post at least once a day, at least
Minimum.
during the work week, on your feed. So of those five, let's say five, I would say maybe 3 or 4 should be videos, and the rest of the others should be a static post. When it comes to carousels, leave those on Instagram, because Facebook has like the format becomes kind of funny. So
Yep.
keep your carousels to Facebook. I would say also, Facebook's, um, the interface takes square, uh, portrait, sorry, square, vertical, and was a portrait, and a little bit of a landscape format, so they can do that. So keep those on you can do that on Facebook, but on Instagram you want to keep everything vertical. Um, th- yeah, I would say keep everything vertical. There's a way around that, but I would just say keep it simple, keep it vertical. And
Right.
then, I would say, on Instagram, let's go to Instagram specifically. Um, don't share your posts on stories. Make story specific posts. So I would even go as far as to say, but then make them about something. So if you have a reel that's about a particular topic, I would say that you post the reel and just let it do what its thing on the feed. And then I would say, hey, if you can do something where it's selfie style, where you talk about the what you did in your reel or your static post in more detail, um, then I would do that. Um, let me. Is it, because I know I said her name wrong the first time. Is it Vanessa or Victoria? The in the group, I can't remember. She
Vanessa.
Vanessa. She's great. She's really good at, like, she posts a lot of content, but also her stories are super engaging, where she talks in more depth and detail about her content, but
Hmm.
also talks more about her life too. So you're getting this, okay, who is Vanessa? It's this person. So I would say make your stories about that. One thing that Vanessa does too, is, on both platforms. You got to find in different cadence that works for you, but get on live. So go get on live sets. So like today, like what we're doing here, which shows up live on Facebook. Find a way to add that to your cadence. Don't do it all the time. Um, do it in a way that, like, gives people something to look forward to. Um, and then
Mix it
just
up. Keep it
and then just
engaging.
yeah, and then the big thing is you just respond to people's comments and to your DMs. Just respond. Most people don't. You find throughout the day, and this is what I learned from my mentor, uh, uh, on Instagram. She says, because that's how she's like, look, just find 30 minutes throughout the entire day. Like if it's 5 minutes now, 2 minutes here, just 5 minutes, 30 minutes total in a day to respond to comments or respond to DMs or to comment to other people. do that because it's a combination of inbound and outbound. You have to put out. And
Yeah.
then the last thing is, um, if you can find a way, um, or I would say if not if, find a way to start a YouTube channel and put stuff out there, because that is gonna be as close to your golden ticket as possible. So, and make your content longer than make sure your videos are longer than 4 or 5 minutes. And yeah, and then
I see a lot of like 11-minute, 12-minute, 13, 14, and then uh
make
somewhere in
just
between 10 and 20 pretty much.
yep, yep. If you're gonna make it short, make it like as short. The shortest should be 5 minutes long, but you got to make them. You got to make them long. Yeah, man, this platform specific. Look, I think most people who I talk to don't even need like, basically make sure your stuff is vertical. Um, don't post carousels on Facebook. Um, go live on Facebook, and then go live on Instagram. Do them separately, because Instagram you got to go live vertical, and also your screen is like flipped, which is different from Facebook. 'Cause typically people stream on Facebook to something else like this. And then I think the big thing is that a lot of these platforms now are going to like where you can get massive reach but not a lot of engagement. So people will you'll get like 5, 6,000, 10,000 views, 200, 300 likes, and like 2 comments. That's very typical now. So you got to find ways to drum up the engagement on your content on every platform. And just, yeah, we just respond to your DMs.
Yeah.
Don't Please do not put hyperlinks in your posts, especially on Instagram, because they don't link to anywhere. Put it in a comment, and don't put it in the actual post, or put it in your stories, because at least there you have the sticker for that.
I told someone that yesterday. I saw them make a post on Facebook with links. Yeah. Um I'm a big advocate about links and post. I don't like it. Sometimes I have to do it, sometimes I still do it, but it's
Hmm.
it needs to go into a comment.
Yeah.
Especially because that comment is also one of the first things people see with
Yes.
the post itself.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And then the last thing I would say is, well, your comments made me remember. Make sure, so have a combination of short form video, carousels, and then if you make static posts, experiment with having longer captions
Mhm.
that have your keywords for your industry in them, and then just have a mix of that.
Yeah.
Oh, and optimize your bios in whichever platform. You got to optimize
How
that
do you
thing.
optimize your bio?
Just have your name and then keywords for your industry in there. So that's the simplest way I can say. Have a good photo. I mean, have an updated photo. On there is also like important. So
Yeah, for sure.
uh those are the big things. Your name, your what you want to be, a keyword that you want to associate with your name, because that's the stuff that, so the keywords that you put in your bio are ones that also think about that you want to be putting into your posts, because that's how people find you. And in one way that you can know that you're kind of searchable and findable is yeah, just Google yourself and chat GPT yourself, and whatever comes up is what you're being known for.
Yeah. That's what's out there in the World Wide Web.
Yep.
Man, it was definitely good having you on. Very, very valuable information for sure. I think a lot of people would definitely appreciate going back, and then we're gonna chop these up in reels also. Um, make it bite size. That's what we'll call it. BYTE.
I love it.
But it's man, I definitely appreciate it. It's always interesting to hear about kind of different perspectives, in the psychology of social media, because all it
Hmm.
is just human behavior.
Yeah.
Um, and you just kind of have to figure it out and
Yes.
give and take and fail and succeed. It just
Yes.
doesn't matter who you are, it's going to happen. And it's not going to happen forever wherever you are. Um, but
Yeah.
man, I definitely want people to know how to get in contact with you: website, email, phone number, all that stuff.
Yeah. Send me a text 703-401-6919. Fastest way, that's the best way to get a hold of me. You can email me at moki@musalmedia.com. And
How do you
that's
spell that?
really Moki, Muoki, at just the at sign Musau, Musau media, media.com. And yeah, no website, no nothing. I got nothing, man. You can hit me up on actually on Instagram. You can find my personal brand is at moki.musau. You can DM me there too.
Mhm.
And also you can find me on LinkedIn, in/Moki Musau. So yeah, I don't have a website or anything crazy like that because I just never got around to it. But I have clients, so I think that's much better than having a website. So
But the people
uh,
already know you're legit. It's we just had a pretty thorough conversation.
yeah,
That's something you can't fake. So
yeah.
I wouldn't worry about not having a website. I know a whole bunch of people who are
Trust me,
successful without websites.
trust me. I'm not worried at all. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good,
oh,
man. We'll definitely chat more. What are your thoughts on doing like a workshop or a webinar?
yeah, send it. It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I
I
I,
think
I
that'd
think
be I think
eh,
that'd be
eh,
fun.
yeah, and anyone who wants to hop on, I'm happy. One thing that's one thing I want to say to everybody is this, um, that one of the things that I always look to do is show people what is good in their content that they're making right now. The thing is, they just can't see it. They don't know how to see it. So that's one of the things my priorities is show them, hey, this is what's good that you're doing. Now, how can we then like extract that and like expand it so that so your content is doing more and more of those good things. So yeah, I'm happy to do that and talk through and just like chop things up and do it in real time.
Yeah, I think that'd be I think that'd be fun. I was part of a workshop a while ago for email marketing,
Yeah.
and kind of understanding how to write it and how to understand who you're sending it to and what they're doing at that time to read
Yeah.
your email. Like, it's just putting yourself in their shoes and just understanding the mindset.
Yes.
Um, what would get their attention at that time?
Hmm.
Um, Kind of, for example, there was a question that I would ask in one of my emails on the fourth sequence that got a lot of responses. Um, and it was something like, "Hey, I know you haven't responded yet. Honestly, I think that's a good thing. And it'll keep the competitors away from you." But so they're like, "Oh shit, this guy's not going away." So it was just kind of a more eye-opening thing. But it's like saying like, "Hey, I'm not going away unless you tell me to," kind of thing. Um, so it's
Love
just
it.
a interesting twist that I kind of put together. It's been funny for sure. But no, um, I think the email marketing and stuff has helped a lot for sure.
Yes.
Understanding the copyright, um, and like different aspects, that definitely helps the social media side as well. But I
Yes.
don't mean to go on another rant. I know we're an hour and 15 minutes in, but
All
I
good.
appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate your time, man.
Right on. This has been super fun. Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
All
Chat with
right.
you again
Peace.
soon.
All right. See ya.